LinkedIn is an insane lead generation and prospecting tool for MSPs. And yet I know many people who really don't know where to start with it. There's a lot of noise out there and lots of things you can do, but which things should you do? I've hunted down one of only 90 certified LinkedIn experts in the world. In the next few minutes, he's going to tell you how to use LinkedIn ads, how to achieve more with less work, and how to leverage advanced strategies to get better results.
Hi, I'm Josh Stout. I am one of less than 90 LinkedIn certified marketing experts in the world. I helped grow an agency from the ground up, so I've overseen 1,000 different ad accounts in my time on LinkedIn.
And thanks so much for joining us on the show, Josh, because we are going to talk about LinkedIn ads today, and it's possibly one of the hardest aspects of LinkedIn to get right. I'm going to be honest with you here. I've been doing full-time marketing, getting on for 20 years. I've never really cracked LinkedIn ads. I've worked with dozens of MSPs who've tried LinkedIn ads, and we've never really cracked it. And my definition of cracked it is we've got something that's generated leads that has turned into prospects, that have turned into clients, that have turned into revenue and profit. And I know it can be done, but I've always struggled with that, and that's why we've got you on the show to try and answer that question. Let's just delve a little bit into your credibility and your background. So you said you were one of 90, what was it you said, LinkedIn certified marketing experts?
Yes. So last year I was selected as part of the class. So they flew me out to London. I went to their headquarters there where I received my official certification. We had to go through a series of workshops, but it's also quite rigorous to get in. You have to submit an application. You have to record a video of yourself saying why you should be in. You need to find 3 references, and then you have to do an interview where they put you on the spot and you have to do a presentation. So,
that's really cool. That's really cool. And there only being 90 of you in the world, do you all kind of have to agree not to fly on the same plane or something like that? In the same way that, there's only about 10 people who know the recipe for Coca-Cola and they're not allowed to go on the same plane. Is it a similar thing to that? Or maybe I'm just making it up?
It's so diverse. So people are coming in from like all over the place, So no, it's not really like that. That's probably why they don't get us all to go to the same events at the same time, though, because maybe they want to make sure that they keep us safe, right?
Yeah, maybe it is that. So before we go on to talk about LinkedIn ads, let's just talk about LinkedIn in general. So I was looking at some stats the other day, and I forget the numbers, but essentially, if you were to look at a chart from, let's say, about 2015, 2016 up till today, so over about 8-9 years, it was just solid growth for LinkedIn. Solid growth in user numbers, in engagement, in the amount of content that's being posted. It's like LinkedIn is the one social network that has just really solidly grown and grown and grown. And, Facebook's gone up. Well, I mean, Facebook went much higher, but has dipped down. Instagram obviously has done a similar kind of thing. We don't talk about X these days, but there's all these other social platforms they have their ups and downs, and yet LinkedIn seems to have just been a very solid growth over a number of years. Is that what you see? Because you're obviously more on the inside of LinkedIn than the rest of us. Is that what you see from the inside as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say the biggest pop of new members and engagement that happened on LinkedIn was during COVID. Because LinkedIn was gradually growing, except I think a lot of people saw it as a job site, right? You're looking for a job, looking to get a higher promotion at another company, something like that. Everyone used LinkedIn. But when COVID hit and everybody had to go home, and you couldn't go to conferences, and you couldn't go to meetings, and you couldn't go door knocking anymore, right? People had to figure out a way to continue networking their business. And I feel that LinkedIn was just waiting for everybody. Right? They're like, come, my children, right? We've been a business networking platform this whole time. We have these capabilities for you. And immediately LinkedIn started seeing, initially it was a huge growth, but then a steady 20% growth year over year to where they have over 1 billion active users now. Hundreds of millions of decision makers. So it solidified itself as the professional platform to be on and really elevated itself over just being some type of job recruitment platform.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And a lot of the MSPs that I speak to when we talk about LinkedIn, because I'm a massive fan, I think it's a great place for people with small amounts of marketing time to go do marketing, right? It's like everyone you could ever do business with is there. A lot of the MSPs I say that to, they say, oh, well, if there's so many people there, if there are so many other MSPs there, surely we're just part of the noise, or surely people are just going on to sell and no one's going on to buy. What kind of stuff do you see in terms of how people are using LinkedIn? Are they just going to sell, or actually are they using it just as a communication tool?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say It is very active on LinkedIn for MSPs. MSPs, during my time at my previous agency where, I helped grow over 1,000 ad accounts that I saw on LinkedIn, the second largest vertical was MSPs, right? So obviously the audience is active on LinkedIn and MSPs can reach out to them, but it is very competitive. So in 90 to 95% of the accounts that I've audited, and that's a realistic number, 90 to 95% of the accounts, there are just nuances in the settings and configurations that people don't know that tend to lead to wasted budget or strategies that are going to be ineffective. Because it is a communication platform, but what makes it so powerful is the ability to specifically target decision makers on LinkedIn, having the most up-to-date professional data out of any other platform in the world, and then the mindset of the user. When people are on LinkedIn, they're considering their business, they're considering their roles, their jobs, professions, right? So being able to get your message in front of them is going to be most effective. And I've pretty consistently heard it from LinkedIn called the middle of funnel hero, because people want to consume content on it. So it's all about how you're structuring your strategy, how you're appealing to the people that you want to show your message to, and ultimately how you're converting them.
Yeah, I mean, that fits perfectly with the 3-step marketing strategy that we recommend. In fact, it's part of our MSP Marketing Edge service. So the first step is to build audiences, and LinkedIn is the first audience I always suggest you build. The second step is to grow relationships, which from what you just said there, the middle of the funnel hero, and that's done through content. You put content in front of people until the day they're ready to have a conversation about switching, which is, of course, the third step, and that is to convert relationships. That's where you have to come offline, you have to pick up the phone, you have to talk to people, and obviously go and meet with them. Let's look, Josh, specifically at LinkedIn ads, because I know that is your particular speciality. So as we know, MSPs, it's a B2B advertising proposition. We're trying to reach decision makers, other business owners, and a lot of us see ads on LinkedIn that we just scroll past really quickly. And certainly if you're an MSP, MSPs see the same ads as I see. We see all the big vendors, all the big names. They must be spending thousands of dollars a day on these adverts, and we all just kind of seem to skip over them. Is that the biggest problem with LinkedIn ads, or is it, as you say, it's not understanding the nuances of it and the little settings and things you can adjust?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of noise on the platform. Creative is one of the essential components of having a successful campaign on LinkedIn, because you need to know how to put designs in front of people that are going to stop them from scrolling and get them to read your message. That's a really important aspect of advertising on LinkedIn. But I wouldn't say that that's the most critical downfall of using the platform is like the noise and all the competition. I would say typically it's the structure. It's the way that people are setting up their campaigns, and they're lacking that nurturing component. Or what I see all the time is people trying to activate leads on the top of the funnel. They're using lead gen forms, using book a call to actions already, and they're trying to target cold audiences to do that. That by far is the largest error on LinkedIn. When you're able to really kind of figure out, test, and optimize based on what you're serving your audience, what's driving the volume, continue reiterating those practices to figure out what's resonating with them. And then, like you said, I kind of build out that middle of funnel effort to nurture and educate, and ultimately convert. I mean, MSPs have a long sales cycle, right? So if you're not staying in front of the people that are relevant and the people that are going to make the decision on conversion, then you're losing out and you're spending a lot of money that's not going to be effective for you. And that tends to be the biggest area of opportunity.
Okay, that makes sense. So bearing in mind the fact that, as you say, it's a long sales cycle, and we know it can take 6, 12, 18, 24 months from the point someone says hello to you to the point they actually sign a contract. Yes. What would you focus an MSP's LinkedIn ads on? Would you focus it on trying to get people into their CRM? Would you focus them trying to sign up for their LinkedIn newsletter? Would it be something else? What would you go for?
It would be a mixture of those tactics. One thing that I probably say way more than I should is use variation, right? And one of the biggest attributes of being able to advertise on LinkedIn is content. So absolutely, I would be running news that are focused, or ads that are focused on newsletter. I would be using blogs. I would be using white papers. I would be using content. And more than anything, if you want to stay ahead of the curve right now and you really want to capitalize on the best assets that LinkedIn has, have people or experts at your company be posting about their expertise. Don't do it for likes. Don't do it for engagement. Just post your expertise. Because if we can include that in an ad campaign and we can run thought leader alongside your company, because look, every company is going to say that they're best at what they do, right? So a lot of people are going to hear that, and you need to say that, and you need to show the content that proves that. But if you can also elevate the voices of the company, explaining why they're experts at what they do, people trust people, and that builds brand equity. So using a combination of those in your funnel and in your strategy is going to yield much higher results. And you need to stay in front of these people long term. So it's not just using that content, not just using the newsletter. Yes, use all those things. But it's also realizing that you need to stay in front of these people so you're top of mind when they're ready to convert. And that's a big missed opportunity that I typically see.
Yeah, so essentially you're saying stamp your authority and keep stamping your authority until the day that they're ready to have that conversation. And of course, on that day, if they've seen 15, 20, 30 things from you on LinkedIn, even if they're not top of mind, they're lurking there in the background. And if you then add that into, they've opened some of your emails that, maybe you've had some direct messages on LinkedIn, maybe you've even spoken to them on the phone, or you've sent them a letter or a postcard in the mail. All of these things come together and with the LinkedIn ads and the LinkedIn content, and they all help you seem like you're everywhere. So for the person who's ready to buy or ready to think about buying or switching, there's certainly the first conversation you want to have is the person who seems to be everywhere. I love that. Final question for you, Josh, and that's about kind of ad spend. So what we've just been talking about there is potentially running ads, constantly running ads to people that aren't going to buy till 2026, 2027, 2028. And there's a lot of cash going into that. What's the right mindset, you believe, for an MSP who's looking at ads? Should they be looking at spending a little bit of money on a regular basis, or should they do a big splurge and a big campaign and then pull back and then repeat it? What do you think is the best strategy?
A general rule of thumb in marketing is you should spend about 7 to 15% of your annual revenue on your marketing efforts. It's an investment, not an expense. And I don't say that in a way to say like, hey, take 10% of your annual revenue and dump that all on LinkedIn. From something that you just said, marketing works best in an ecosystem, right? It really builds your brand to make sure you have those elements of demand generation, demand capture, direct touches, right? All those things influence conversions. Now, on LinkedIn specifically, you can run a pretty healthy budget, maybe somewhere around $5,000 to $10,000 a month on LinkedIn, and that's going to help you drive a lot of volume and build a lot of frequency. Now, you don't have to spend that much. I've managed campaigns all the way down to $500 a month. You can still put a fundamental structure in place to engage your top of funnel audience and build trust and credibility in your brand. That long-term play on LinkedIn, you can segment your audience, that people that maybe have not visited your website or company page in the last 3 months, right? So it's been over 3 months now. You can use low-cost ad types, such as text ads or follower ads, dynamic ads, to put really low-cost touches to stay in the subconscious of your interested prospects. So yes, obviously the more budget you put behind it, the more volume you can drive, the more low-hanging fruit you're going to find, and the more frequency you can build. But you don't have to have an enterprise budget to still run a campaign on LinkedIn and make it effective for you.
Yeah, which is music to everyone's ears, I think. Yeah. And obviously, we've got to remember the lifetime value as well. So an MSP, it might take you a very long time to win a client, but you keep them for 5 to 10 to 15 years, paying monthly recurring revenue. So, to the average MSP, a new client is worth 100, 200, maybe even £250,000. Would you spend 2,000-3,000 to win a £250,000 client? I mean, everyone would say yes, until the point they actually come to put in the LinkedIn adverts on, I guess. But there we go.
And again, rule of thumb, probably around 10%, right? That's what a client is worth. Be investing that in finding them and bringing them in.
Yeah, no, I like that. And actually, if you do that consistently, if I've always said this to MSPs, if you can onboard a new client every month, wouldn't you spend that money to onboard that client? And the answer is yes. Right. But of course, it takes time. You can't just switch it on Monday and you get the new client on Wednesday. If it was that simple, then everyone would be doing it.
Everyone would do it.
Yeah, exactly. Josh, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing an insight. So tell us what you do to help MSPs with their LinkedIn ads, and how can we get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I am extremely familiar in the MSP space. It was the second largest vertical at my previous agency. I've overseen hundreds of accounts on LinkedIn. So what I can really do is come in and fundamentally help you build a strategy that's going to not just yield results, but try to exponentially grow them over time by having the right structure in place. If people want to learn more about that and how I can help them, all you have to do, you can either DM me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/Joshua Stout, or you can go to influent.co, go to the advertising page and book a call. Be happy to talk.
Paul Green's MSP Marketing Edge.